Two beautiful Rabotai. Good morning, everybody. Shavua Tov Mevorach. The Lighthouse live video feed for the Torah Project Lighthouse Program Le'ilui Nishmat Devorah Feige Bat Shemuel Refuah Shelema Ora Devorah Bat Rivka. The iTorah.com audio file, the Refuah Shelema Nehama for Refuah Shelema of David Menachem Ben Devorah Leah Shidduch for Nehamadina Bat Hana Batia. And we take the opportunity to wish a hearty Mazel Tov to the young couple that got married yesterday evening, Sammy and Jacqueline, Shemuel and Yochevet Hava. May they build a beautiful home on the foundations of Torah Mitzvot and Ma'asim Tovim, a most beautiful and lively and holy wedding. So may be a source of joy and nahat for the families. Amen. Amen. On a personal note, I'd like to express my gratitude to the many wishes that I received via email, via WhatsApp, in person on my yesterday's birthday. Thank you for that. And also a big thank you to a virtual student, which I don't know who he or she is. It sounds like a she more than a he. And I'm thankful, as my wife says, no carbs, no sugar, gluten-free gift. It wasn't food and it wasn't money. All right? So thankful for that thoughtful act. So irbu semachot beIsrael. Amen. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam shehakol nihiya bidbaro. Today we have a sensitive topic to speak about. Not sensitive because it's an unpleasant topic, but it's because it's such a holy topic that I need to be careful in what I'm going to say. Yesterday, we discussed the concept of bringing children into the world. This is the first topic of this week's Torah portion, Perashat Tazria. As we just read, Isha ki tazriya v'yaleda zachar. But how can a person bring a child to the world? Physically, we understand, right? Mitzvah between husband and wife. But the Zohar of today will discuss the covenant of marriage. Why marriage is so important in Judaism. We know that all other religions may have, especially in the leadership, something called in English celibate, right? Which is about to change. Is about to change. They're going to do teshuvah on that because they realize that living that lifestyle created so many acts of inappropriateness and thousands of children born out of wedlock, that they realize that the honesty and the sanity and sanctity of the Torah is eternal. And this is another stepping stone to Mashiach survival. Because one of the things that will happen when Mashiach will come will be that all the religions of the world and all the citizens of the world will recognize the essence of the Torah, the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Zohar HaKadosh explains a very interesting concept. We know that whenever Hatan and Kala walk and they are under the chuppah, there are many stages to their marriage ceremony. Many different stages, starting from the Irusin, Kiddushin, and Shiv'ah Berachot. Let's go quickly. What happens when someone gets married? Obviously, getting married is actually a requirement from the Torah. The Pasuk says, Bedabak beishto behayu lebasar ehad. It's a Pasuk in the Perashah. The Pasuk says that it comes a stage in a person's life. The person leaves the home of the parents and becomes a soul, a single unit with his wife, and become an entity. That's the idea of marriage. The sanctity of marriage, the holiness of marriage, etc. So we come to the chuppah, and then we do the irusin. Basically, which we say, Asher kiddeshanu b'mizvotav, that God sanctified us with His commandments, betzivanu al ha'arayot, and the Torah commanded us against the forbidden marriages, be'asar lanu et ha'arusot, and forbade us those that are engaged to someone else, according to Jewish law. A lady that is engaged is considered married to someone, although the marriage perhaps may have not been consummated, but an engagement in the olden days, the engagement didn't happen together with the marriage. This is something new that has been happening for many centuries. But in the time of the Talmud, engagement was one day, another date was for the wedding. But since there were many spiritual challenges and problems, our rabbis established that the engagement is done right before the chuppah. What people make an engagement party has nothing to do with halakha. You're not obligated to make an engagement party. Actually, in the many very religious circles, they don't do an engagement party. They do a vort, they do a lechaim, they do an open house, people come in and out, they wish a hearty mazel tov, and that's the end of it. Because you need to get ready for the wedding. Obviously, we're not telling people not to do an engagement party, but we're only explaining that halachically, there is no obligation to do an engagement party the way sometimes people do. But you do a lechaim, you do a vort, people come in, wish a hearty mazel tov, and the blessing continues. Behitir lanu et hanesuot lanu. And the Torah allowed us to be with those married to us, al yedei chuppah bekiddushin. Marriage through sanctity, meaning to say, chuppah and kiddushin. What's the meaning of the word kiddushin? Kodesh, holy. That's the meaning of kiddush. When we come home Friday night, Shabbat day, holiday day, we come home, what do? We do kiddush. We bring the sanctity into our life. Marriage, the sanctity is achieved through the chuppah and kiddushin. Baruch atah Hashem, mekadesh amo Israel al yedei chuppah bekiddushin. The one that sanctifies the Jewish people through the canopy and the sanctification process. After this, the Hatan and Kala, they drink the wine, a bit of wine, obviously, and then we welcome the witnesses. The witnesses are welcome, and these witnesses need to be kosher witnesses, not kosher in their behavior as individuals, but they cannot be related to the Hatan or to the Kala. And then the Hatan brings the ring, and he says the famous words, Hareat mekudeshet, etc. Basically, you become sanctified to me via this ring, according to the laws of Moshe and Israel. And then we continue. Some traditions, they do the concept of the coin instead of the ring, but both opinions are halachically valid. Then the Hatan puts on the talet. If the wedding is being held before sundown, then he will say two berachot, leita'atef besisit and shehiyanu. And when the Hatan says shehiyanu, he has the kavanah that the shehiyanu includes the mitzvah of getting married, plus all the mitzvot and all the new items that they're going to be wearing in honor of the wedding. After that, we read the ketubah. And we know the ketubah is a halachically binding document that our holy rabbis established that the Hatan gives to the Kala. We're not going to go through the laws of ketubah because they are many, but ketubah is not a simple form. It's a very important form that must be properly written. There are rules and regulations of what determines the kashrut of a ketubah or not. And basically, the ketubah contains the day of the week, the date of the month, the year, the city where we are at, the name of the Hatan and his father's name and the family name, the name of the bride and her father's name and the family names, and the status of the bride. Is she single, a widow, a divorcee, etc.? And all that has halachic ramifications in the laws of ketubah, which they are not many, but I'm only just creating an awareness to introduce this concept as a liaison to the Zohar of today. So basically, the Hatan in the ketubah states everything that he will do for his wife. Provide for her, protect her, heal her, dress her, feed her, give him financial sustenance, emotional and physical, etc. Not allowing himself to have a second wife unless she allows it. True. True, especially if they have no children, God forbid. Of course, not that we're going to run and marry a second wife. With one, it's enough, I think. Okay? But I'm telling you what it says in the ketubah. Okay? But basically, the ketubah, and the ladies love this part, the ketubah doesn't say that anything that the wife needs to do. The ketubah says everything that the husband must do to take care of his wife. There are 10 minimal obligations, 7 of them rabbinical, 3 of them biblical, and that's basically what the ketubah is. The Hatan makes a kinyan. We do the shaking of the hand or the lifting on an object to certify that the Hatan is accepting upon himself. He cannot say, the Hatan cannot say to the bride, go under your father's health insurance. There is no such a thing unless there is such an agreement. Halachically, he needs to take care of that. Go ask your father for money. He has money. Halachically, he needs to take care of it. Obviously, let's clarify. There are certain situations or there are certain cases that the families have this agreement or this arrangement, especially if the young man is starting up or is finishing a career or is learning, and the father-in-law says, not to worry, Moshe, let your wife be under my insurance. That's a different story. Okay? But overall, the husband must take care of the wife from A to Z. Now, after that, the Edim, the witnesses, again sign the ketubah, and then we give it to the Hatan, and then the Hatan gives it to the Kala, and he says to the Kala, Hare zot ketubatech, this is your ketubah. The Sephardic tradition is not to hang the ketubah. The Sephardic tradition is that the mother-in-law keeps the ketubah, correct? In a safe, in a house, etc. And people should know where the ketubah is. It's a very important document, more important than your passport. Because if you don't have a ketubah or you don't know where the ketubah is, you need to have a kosher ketubah. According to the Talmud, husband and wife cannot live without having a ketubah or without having access to a ketubah. After that, we come to the Shiv'a Berachot. And this is the topic of today's Zohar HaKadosh, the topic of Shiv'a Berachot. 7 blessings. On Shabbat, we talked about the importance of number 7. As we discussed the title of last week's Torah portion, Perashat Shemini, Vayhi Bayom HaShemini, and it was on the 8th day. And we ask a question, what 8th day are you referring to? So somebody said, Berit Milah. Somebody else said, 8 days of Hanukkah. Somebody else says, 8th day. It's a very popular English Jewish band. Lovely music. Mostly English songs, kosher songs with spiritual messages. And the name of the band is called 8th Day. I think they come from California, I think. I love them, by the way. They sing very meaningful songs. I know some of you know it, and some of your children know these songs. Anyways, so obviously the answer is none of the above. Milad topic, yes, is related to the number 8, but it's this week's Torah portion. Hanukkah didn't happen. A music band obviously is not the Torah message of the parasha. Although it's beautiful music and kosher music, but in reality, what is the 8th day? The short answer given is the day of Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the day that the Mishkan was inaugurated, and Aharon HaKohen was officially appointed to become the Kohen Gadol of Am Israel. So, if there was day number 8, must have been day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what happened in these 7 days? Short answer, Moshe Rabbeinu was the Kohen Gadol of Am Israel. And for these 7 prior days, from the 23rd day of Adar till Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Moshe Rabbeinu assembled, offered the sacrifices, and dismantled the Mishkan 7 consecutive days. What's so special about number 7? Actually, we have a statement that says, Kol ha-shebi'in habibin. All 7s are specials. So we're going to do some homework. Now, let me use the blue one. Blue sky. And think out loud, and please help me. When it comes to number 7, how many things in the Torah is related to the number 7? I'm going to start. 7 days of the week. Agree?
Yes.
Beautiful. 7 years of Shemitah. 7 weeks of the Omer. 7 berachot under the chuppah. Come on, help me. The 7th month of the year, Tishrei, the creation of Adam and Hava. 7 ushpizin, the 7 nights of Sukkot. 7 colors of the rainbow, okay. The 7 heavens, beautiful. So we have already 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 items at least, and I'm sure that there are more. I'm sure that there are more. David HaMelech was generation number 7, all the way from Yehuda, I believe. So we have one more to add. So if we think, Shemitah already said, beautiful, 7 years of Shemitah, excellent. Yovel, Omer, 7 times 7. So I'm sure that we're going to come out to many items of number 7. Our rabbis tell us that number 7 represents the aspect of physical life. How Hashem created the world in 7 days. Ubayom HaShevi'i, Shabbat Beit Nafash. When it comes to the number 8, I'm above nature. So now, one of the topics of number 7 that the Zohar of today discusses is the topic of Shiv'a Berachot, the 7 blessings that we say to the Hatan and the Kala under the Chuppah. And you say, Borei Peri HaGefen, She'akol bara lichvodo, Yotzer ha'adam, Asher yatzar et ha'adam besalmo, Sos tasis, Sameach tesamach, Mesameach Hatan bekala, Asher bara sason besimcha, etc. Kesamechacha yesircha began eden mikeden. This is the Zohar of today. These 7 blessings, the Zohar says, were the 7 blessings given to Adam and Hava the day of their marriage. How do we know when Adam and Hava got married? Short answer, I give you the answer. Adam and Hava, excuse me. Adam and Hava, Adam and Eve, no Adam and Steve, Adam and Eve. It's important what I'm going to say now. I know it sounds funny, but we need to clarify. Adam and Hava, the purpose of the creation of the world, part of the mission is for it to be populated by mankind. And the only way that a human being can be reproduced is through Adam and Hava, husband and wife. Anything else that is not husband and wife, not only is a Torah prohibition, is an abomination, but is a slap in the face of Hashem. Because God created the world for it to be populated. So two people of the same gender are together. What they are doing? They telling God, we have other plans. And don't tell me, no, Rabbi, they adopt. Devarim betelim. I don't want to say what I can say because kavod. So we understand that when the Torah considers the sanctity and the holiness of marriage, is the relationship between husband and wife. But the Zohar of today asks, what kind of relationship between a male and a female? Can you just see someone and spend one day together and she is your wife? Guess what? There was a time in history that the marriage was consummated through intimacy only. When our holy rabbis saw the disasters that were happening in the life of mankind, but especially the life of the Jewish people, that people saw a girl and they liked her externally, they were together, and then the next day or a week later, she's not for me. Guess what? She needs a get. Because you consummated the marriage through intimacy. When our rabbis saw the divorce ratio and the suffering of both parties, they established 3 ways that must be in order for someone to be considered halachically married. Kesef, shetar, bi'ah. The ring, the ketubah, the document, and I'm not saying the legal certificate, that's the law of the land, which is mandatory to have in a wedding. Obviously, I don't do weddings if I don't have a marriage license. You bring the marriage license, I marry you. Okay? That's rule number 1 for the rabbinate. But even a person has a marriage license, that is more of a legal formality for many purposes. But the ketubah spells out what the husband must do for the wife, which I told you before, 10 things. One day we'll go over the list. 10 minimum. Of course. Sure. They never told you this when you got married? Now that we do.
We do more than 10 things.
I'm sure. I'm not worried about anyone who is here listening or watching or getting the file. I'm not worried. The issue is with the wise guys outside that they don't understand what it means. So Hachamim establish the ring under the chuppah, the document with witnesses, and physical relation between husband and wife. And the Zohar HaKadosh says, God bless Adam and Hava, as the pasuk says, Vayibarech Otam Elokim. God bless Adam and Eve, and it says, Be'atem Peru Urbu Umil'u et haaretz. Be fruitful and multiplied, and fill the land with mankind. And the Zohar says, Kehazan dimbarech lakala beshiv'a berachot. And we mimic God's blessing to the Hatan and the Kala, like the Hazanim bless the Hatan and the Kala under the Chuppah. How beautiful is the Chuppot when you listen to the Shiv'a Berachot. And it doesn't matter if you're a good Hazan or not a good Hazan, that's secondary. But the actual moment of the Chuppah, right? And the singing and the Hatan and the Kala, it brings a lot of happiness, holiness, and joy. So from here we learn that when husband and wife are under the Chuppah and they are receiving the 7 blessings being sung under the Chuppah, guess what? Who is saying amen to each of these blessings, the Zohar says, Hashem. God answers amen to the blessing of the Hatan and the Kalla. Hashem comes down with an entourage, as the Pasuk says in the middle of the Beracha. I'm not going to sing the Berachot, but I'm going to tell you one Beracha. Sameach tesamach re'im ahubim. Sameach, be happy, so you can make her happy. Re'im ahubim, beloved friends, que samechacha yesircha began eden mikedem, like the Almighty, the Creator, made you happy in Gan Eden mikedem, from the time of Adam and Hava. Adam and Hava were created on the same day. They got married on the same day. She conceived babies on the same day, and the babies were born on the same day. I know your question. How is it possible, Rabbi? So I tell you what the Talmud writes. Shenaim alu, arba'a yardu. In English means 2 went up and 4 came down. This refers to Adam and Hava and Cain and Hevel. When they came down, Cain and Hevel were born. Now, we as humans cannot really understand this concept. Why? Because we are humans, and we were created many years after the creation of the world. And one of the consequences of the sin of Adam and Hava was what? Pregnancy and challenges with livelihood, with parnasa. Otherwise, the earth should produce for us whatever we need without having to work hard for our livelihood. And intimacy will be better than Amazon Prime, same day delivery. I know you like that. You know, sometimes you go online to buy and they give you 20 options. Same day, lacquer pickup. So imagine yourself, again, we don't understand because we were born through pregnancy. But pregnancy is a side effect of the sin of Adam and Hava. But not to worry. Mashiach comes any day, even today, no more pregnancy. What does it mean? Same day delivery. Different topic. We hope, Be'ezat Hashem, to be able to see it. The Zohar HaKadosh writes and it says, Gam ala hatan ve'akalla. The hatan and kalla, on that moment, they experienced the holiness like the marriage of Adam and Hava. Why? Because at the end of the day, every man is from Adam and every female is from Hava. So therefore, when a husband and wife or hatan and kalla are standing under the huppah, we are renewing the vows of Adam and Hava. So like Hashem bless Adam and Hava, Hashem comes down and blesses the hatan and the kalla under the huppah. Why did the Zohar give us 29 minutes of introduction to what topic? What topic? Okay, so far, the beauty of marriage, the holiness of marriage, the sanctity of marriage. We explained before that one of the names of the ceremony under the huppah is called Kiddushin. Kiddushin means what? To sanctify. So what is the Torah is telling us? That a person achieves holiness and godliness through the covenant of marriage. And the Zohar of today talks about 2 unpleasant topics. Topic number 1, the prohibition of being with someone that is not the person's wife. There are 2 prohibitions, Eshet Ish and Penuya. Eshet Ish, God forbid, it means a lady that is married to someone. A lady that is married to someone, like the wife is sanctified to the husband is sanctified to the man. It's no difference. Both of them, when they get married, they are connected to one another. Not only physically, but soul-wise. The neshama, the two neshamot, the two souls of the husband and the wife, they are half. And through marriage, they become whole. That's why in English they call it soulmate. Soulmate. There are many different names. In Spanish they say la otra mitad, the other half. In English they call it soulmate. And the Torah says, Behayu lebasar ehad. They become united. So what do we understand here? That all these blessings and all this concept of sanctity can only be achieved through marriage. So therefore, the Zohar Kadosh writes and it says, if God forbid, a man becomes involved with a married lady, or a lady that is married becomes involved with another man, both of them are destroying and defeating God's plan. Do you follow what I'm trying to say? What about single men and single lady? Can they be together?
No.
Hazaku Baruch. The correct answer is no. Why not? Many reasons. Number one, who tells you that this is your wife? Who tells you that she will marry you? If she marries you, you're lucky. But if she doesn't marry you, so you defile someone that wasn't your soulmate. And you missed the berachot that come through the ceremony of the Hupan Kiddushin. And according to what we learned the past 30 minutes, or 29 and a half minutes, all these ceremonies and all the halachic steps that we described is to bring down into the couple God's approval for the relationship. So if someone has an adventure or an affair or out of wedlock relationship, all of the above create a spiritual strike against the person, both parties involved, the male and the female, for obvious physical halachic reasons. Not only that, the Zohar says that a person defiles Hashem's name when they defile themselves physically. Besides wasting zera and now changing the status of a lady from being holy and pure betula, now become be'ula, so to speak. Obviously, the topic is self-understood, and the Zohar Kadosh says one more. It's very heavy what the Zohar is going to say now, but I think you can handle it. The Zohar brings a concept from eating without saying berachot. We know this rule. Before we eat, before we drink, we say a beracha. And that's why the Gemara writes, Kol hanehene min ha'olam hazeh belo beracha, ke'ilu gozel. A person who eats without saying a blessing, it's stealing from God, meaning a person does not show a token of gratitude, as well as mankind. The Zohar says that intimacy, it's also pleasure. I'm sorry to be so open, but that's the reality of life for him and for her. So here is the question. Did you say the beracha before intimacy? So your question is, Rabbi, is there a beracha before intimacy? Yes, there is. There are 7 berachot under the chuppah. Now you can relax better. You can breathe. They are prayers before intimacy, I will tell you that. There are certain prayers that our holy rabbis established, but it's not the topic of today. The Zohar Kadosh says, like saying a blessing before drinking a tea, eating a candy, they are blessings before the benefit of intimacy. Physical benefit, an emotional benefit, and if we are lucky and fortunate enough, Borei Olam will bless that relationship. So the Zohar Kadosh says, if we understand that even intimacy must be preceded by the ceremony of the Huppah and the 7 blessings and the Ketubah and everything else, so according to Jewish law, to have an adventure, to have an affair, or to spend time with a single person, even though the both of them are single, it goes against the master plan of the sanctity of marriage that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought down into the world for us to live. And that's the reason why I'm going to use it in red, because it's a dangerous statement, what I'm going to say now. Let me have the blue, because the blue is nice. Red is problematic, blue is nice. I said this not long ago. You see both words written the same way, kedesha, kedusha. What's the difference? This one is dangerous. The red one is dangerous. Why? Because if you read it like this, you can have the word kedesha, blue. Kedesha, kedusha. Do you see same letters? Vowels? What's the difference between the blue and the red? It's like you go to the eye doctor. Better 1 or better 2? 1 dot. What? How many dots?
1 dot.
So 1 dot can determine. Kedusha means promiscuous. Kedusha means sanctity. Lo tiyeh kedusha bibnot Israel. Promiscuity. What is promiscuity? Do you understand? The opposite of the sanctity of marriage. 1 dot is like you want to send an email to someone, and the email bounces back. Instead of putting gmail.com, you put gmail.com. Who doesn't know that Gmail is .com? The computer says, no, I reject the file. 1 dot can determine our lifestyle. Is kedusha or kedesha? That's why in Judaism, in Torah concepts, living together doesn't happen. Forbidden. Until Huppah. Then you have zera levatala, wasting zera, removing the betulim, the holiness that the single wife, the single woman has prior to marriage. So these topics are not simple topics. And then they have their spiritual benefit, dividends, or challenges per se. And the Zohar Kadosh writes, and it says that even your own wife, shehi penuya, a lady, shehi penuya, she's single. She's not committed to no one. She's not dating no one. She's ready to get married. But is she a wife or not? Not yet. Why not? Because you have no huppah. And that's what it says. Afal pi shehi penuya. Even though she is available. Benehena mimena. And now they were intimately together. Shelo nas'a behuppah bekiddushin. Beshiv'a verachot. Nikra Gazlan is stealing from the Almighty, from the world, and from mankind. Why? Shelo birech shev'a verachot. How can you benefit from something without the blessings? And the Zohar Kadosh continues telling us all these spiritual aspects of forbidden levels of intimacy, which I'm going to finish with this following statement. And I have a ladies' class in a few minutes, and you have a meeting after this class, and 2 meetings after the next class. So my day is gone, basically. So I'm going to finish up, with your permission. We know, thank you. Amen. We know that after understanding the message of today's from the Zohar, I'm going to remind ourselves a very important topic, which is important to remind ourselves that this topic is mandatory. It's not optional, it's mandatory. Why it's mandatory? Because if you follow what I'm going to say now, you're not going to have any headaches of what we discussed today. This was the menu of the day. I don't write the menu. I only do the talking, and I add the seasoning based on the taste of the kahal. But now we are able to understand why the halakha talks about the topic of shomer negi'ah. What is the meaning of shomer negi'ah? You know what that means? Basically, that a man does not touch a lady, especially if you are dating. Let's say you go on a date. You're married, so don't try this at home. Don't tell me the rabbi told me to go on a date. No, God forbid. I'm only bringing a fictitious example. I know you're the hacham of the man ishtana, and you may get ideas now. God forbid, you're a lucky man, so don't try this at home. But let's say a single man wants to go on a date. Okay? And let me clarify that it all depends, obviously, on the spiritual level of the person. Maybe many people are not even aware that this is forbidden. But the purpose of the Torah and the Torah classes and sending the Torah classes is to create an awareness. What is it expected from me as a Jew? So guess what? A person that is shomer negi'ah, a person that understands that until you're going to walk under the chuppah, you cannot touch her. You're dating her. You're pampering her. You're buying her flowers. You gave her a beautiful engagement gift. You are printed the invitations. Guess what? She's still not your wife until you are under the chuppah. And therefore the halakha says, shomer negi'ah. She's not yours. How can you touch her? Because guess what? The problem is not, okay, you touch the hand like this. The problem is what happens after. You start with the hand, heke, and then hogi, and then you know what else comes. I don't have to illustrate. Relax. Don't get excited, okay? Relax. We're going to hide your face. Don't move. Don't turn the camera to him, please. I don't want him to get excitement. You understand what I'm saying? So the Yetzer Hara will activate the hormonal system in the body, in his body and her body. And once the hormones are running a NASCAR or an Indy 500 roller coaster world of emotions, God forbid, one thing will lead unto the other. And then we can have the hiccups that we discussed today in the Zohar HaKadosh. I'm not saying that it's easy and automatic, especially for the single men and the single girls. For those that are married, I hope that Be'ezat Hashem, everyone is happily married and is not looking for satisfactions or adventures out of the marriage. If you do that, you're in trouble in many levels. But we're talking about now to the single boys and the single girls. Keep your distance. That is difficult, we agree. And we understand. But guess what? If you really respect the other person, the girl or the boy, based on who you are and the sanctity, what marriage is all about, you're going to learn how to exercise self-control, and I'll tell you a secret. You're going to get married faster. Sometimes people have longer engagement than marriages, sadly speaking. Or sometimes people get engaged. When you're getting married, somebody told me, yeah, December 2020. I said, December 2020? You're getting engaged in June. Yeah, we need to plan, we need to prepare. Rohi, and how long you dating her? 2.5 years. I said, if it's taking you 2.5 years to decide, and she's your wife, who is guaranteed that in a year and a half you're going to marry her? That's the problem of today's generation. Let me try it first. God forbid. There is no trying. You want to try? Date normal, like a normal, observant Jew. And pray. And pray. And pray. And pray more. That the wife or the date that Hashem is sending you is the proper one. My dear friends, Shavua Tov, Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen be'amen.